TNA Wrestling crossed that line again as another Impact Wrestling is in the books and once again delivering a top quality show on AMC. The action, well, not even the action. The show started with the system in the ring bragging about their recent run of results. Obviously, they are tag team champions. And Cedric Alexander is, of course, the X Division champion after dethroning Leon Slater last week. We still take, it's not our fault, Leon. I know you was on the show. Not our fault, okay. Um, they also called Eddie Edwards a future TNA Hall of Famer, which I think is a given. And Eddie's got his sights set on the World Heavyweight Championship, which he has a shot for still, I believe. So there's that for the system. Yeah, very much in bragging and celebratory mode. However, Cedric Alexander did say that he was unable to celebrate last week due to the debut of Fabian Eichner, who come in at the end of Impact. If you remember last week, we did see that, and he has a bit of a bone to pick with Fabian Eichner, who comes out. Now, bearing in mind, Fabian Eichner's on his own at this point, and he basically come out there to say to Cedric not to get too comfortable as X Division champion. As they try to attack Eichner, he evades it and goes straight after Cedric, and he basically slamming him into a chokehold, and he's dragged out by the fellow system members. I would say, as much as I enjoyed the beginning of this, the system have been systematically beating every guy that comes in. And to have Eichner come in and pretty much take them all on and win, really, not what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe him to have some help and as a group, but not to yeah, not to come out on his own and kind of get one up on the system. That was quite a surprise to me. Um, yeah, wasn't expecting that at all. You got the system. I know that they've been running roughshod for many years in TNA now, but when there's 4-1 or whatever the number was, yeah, it wasn't as bad as it sounds. But I just think, at least have someone. You make it 4-2 or on two, not have Ike come out and to kind of, made him like he beat all members of the system. But look, I'm interested to see what Eichner does. I'm interested to see him and Cedric. I'm hoping Cedric's reign isn't short though. I feel as if that's if he's just beaten Leon Slater, he needs a good bit of time as X Division champion. But we will see. We will certainly find out what happens on TNA, and then certainly find out what happens with the X Division Championship. What we do know is the main event of TNA this week is Steve Maclin versus Mike Santana in a rematch from the World Heavyweight Championship match that we had a few months ago. And Daria Ray was firing up Steve Maclin backstage. She understands why men like Maclin are built the way that they are. And Macklin has an opportunity tonight to take out Mike Santana, rip the heart out of his company, and put TNA title on someone who's worthy of carrying it. Well, it's a bit rude. Santana has been the beating heart of TNA wrestling, so it was a good promo though. Macklin's featured quite a lot in the lead up to the championship match, which is actually really good storytelling from TNA. I'll tell you, we'll get into it in a bit about some of the other stuff that happens. But straight into action now. Knockouts action. It's Elena Black versus Indy Hartwell. And Ariana Grace is on commentary. She's had her issues with Indy Hartwell recently, of course. But I like this. And actually, I'm gonna say something that might surprise people. I enjoyed this fact ended in it. I enjoyed the fact that this match ended in a DQ. Ariana Grace, obviously on commentary, she runs in. She attacks Indy Hartwell, and then she gets tossed out of the ring. And then Grace complains about. So once that dust settles, Grace complains about losing the Knockouts title, blames it all on Santino, and it's who come out and said it's not cool of her to be attacking Indy Hartwell again, and that Grace needs to be grounded, and calls her daughter and Stack stinking pieces of garbage. He then gets into a confrontation with Stacks, who shoves him, only for Morella to bust out the Cobra. Yes, the Cobra was back, and Daria Ray interrupts and berates Morella for trying to get a bit physical, and she mocks Morello's judo skills, calling him the weakest martial art. And she said that she would know because she's a real fire, of course, MMA background on Santino. And she tells Santino to request a formal request to the TNA board if he wants to get his hands on Stacks, and then tells him to get out of the ring. It's quite interesting because Stacks and Santino will probably get it on. I think that request may be granted if Santino does submit that request through. But the match itself, like I said, it was built up for this post-match confrontation. But the reason why I like the DQ here is it protected both Indy Hartwell and Elena Black. Because look, at the end of the day, these are two that are going to be vying for that Knockouts Championship opportunity. What you don't want is one of them two, to start losing matches and decrease that momentum. That's why I didn't, when I saw this match, I was kind of like, I was hoping for a DQ. I was intrigued to see if they were going to make one of them two win, and whoever it was, obviously I thought would maybe have been next in line. The fact that none of them won kept them both strong, and I thought that was the right decision, to be honest. Now, the Elegance brand were in their dressing room, and suffice to say, they got a message sent to them. And that message, Ash has taken some time off, by the way. That was what they announced as well. Um, and then the lights went out. And when the lights come back on, there was a message on the mirror. And that message was from Rosemary, Ali, and Myra Sade. I think it said something like, "See you soon." The Elegance brand are in a little bit of trouble here. If the undead realm are targeting the Elegance brand, I fear for the Elegance brand. Speaking of the Elegance brand, go and check out my good friend Justin at the I Love Wrestling podcast. He has got a TNA exclusive with the Elegance brand on his channel right now. So go and check that out, guys. Right, some action back on TNA. Sorry, but it's early in the morning. Coolest dad. That's me, apparently. Said no one ever, not even my son. Um, right, back to the action on TNA, and it was Matt Hardy versus Vincent. The Hardy's righteous war continues. Jeff and I believe Dutch were handcuffed at ringside. Now, as Matt comes out, Vincent cuts a promo. I said it wasn't the tune he was expecting to hear, threatening to hijack the production if Broken Matt doesn't appear. And the lights go out. We hear that piano play, and there is Broken Matt Hardy, which I thought was, actually really, really good to see that. Um, Now, on this channel, over the last couple of weeks, I have said that I wonder if Brother Nero would bring back Willow. Well, once again, I have been proved right. And what did happen during this match was a good match. The referee gets knocked down. TNA must have been not paying their electricity bill this week because the lights went out again in the arena, and we heard the laugh, that creepy laugh. And as the lights come back on, Willow is in the ring. The crowd go crazy. He attacks Vincent with an umbrella. Matt hits the twist of fate, and the referee is there for the one, the two, the three, which I thought was great, to be honest. Really, really good to see the Broken Matt and Willow back together. I did wonder, but like I said, I was proved right. Storytelling in this match was great. Probably in fairness, the storytelling may have been better than the action, but that's the way it is. Obviously, what we do know is that coming up on TNA in the future, because they announced it, a Wicked Garden match between the Righteous and the Hardys. I cannot wait because that's going to be like a cinematic match that we haven't seen before. Wicked Garden. Yeah. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I'm really looking forward to that actually, coming up soon on TNA. Not sure when, but it is coming up real soon, and I'm really looking forward to that coming up. Obviously, Slammiversary as well coming up at the end of June. Make sure you get your tickets. Those of you that can go, TNAWrestling.com. Tickets are on sale. I think the tickets are on sale for a load of locations as well, guys. If you can make it out there, you're in for an absolute treat, honestly. Elijah this week seems to have a new enemy or knew someone that was actually respecting him actually for a little while in this. Um, he was playing his guitar backstage and he was interrupted by AJ Francis of all people. And he actually says he's a fan and he wanted to collab uh, with Elijah because they can make a lot of money, money, money. But Elijah did say that he respects what Francis is doing. He is a drifter and a drifter. He says walks alone, but realistically, a drifter drifts alone, right? And as Elijah walks out of the frame, AJ Francis issues a threat to Elijah. Hmm. Well, it won't be long, obviously, before Elijah just and AJ Francis look up. That's going to be an interesting match, actually. Elijah AJ wasn't one that I was expecting. Clash of styles, definitely. Sorry, difference of styles between those two. I'd like to see how they go in the ring, though. That would be an interesting one. I mean, AJ Francis has proven, without a shadow of a doubt, since coming to TNA, that he can go with the best. You can put him in any match with anyone, and he would do really, really well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens between those two. The good news is next week on TNA, the Champions Challenge match returns, and there's going to be not one but two Champions Challenge match, the knockouts and the men. So what happens there? It will consist of TNA champions on one side and TNA challengers on the other side. So pretty much like it will have. So it'd be interesting because you may have Santana teaming with the System, right? The tags, Brian Myers, Bear Bronson, Mustafa Ali, and Cedric Alexander, and they'll go against a list of challenges. Same with the knockout side. You'll have the knockouts probably have the Elegance brand. You'll probably have Lei Ying Lee. It's about it there, right? On that side, there's any more than that. Is there? There's not another knockouts championship, is there? Anyway, or they may go together. Anyway, there's going to be two. Um, Now, the winner, obviously, the main event tonight will be in that match between Santana and Maclin. And Morella's announced that the winner of that will also be captain. And you remember what we said about Santino Morella wanting stacks? He's got it. Next week on Impact, Santino and Stacks one on one. And the system, Eddie Edwards basically said they come into this at the end wanting a match with Fabian Eichner next week. And that match has indeed been granted. We've got a lot going on next week on TNA, haven't we? This is going to be a really strong episode next week of TNA. I'm really looking forward to it already. We're still a week out. It's going to be some great action. That's for certain next week. Speaking of great action, Mustafa Ali, TNA International Championship match. He's got his open challenge. Now, we already knew this week, because it was announced earlier on in the week, that Chaz Starboy Hall would be in this match. Now, I know he's been working WWE. I, to be honest, hadn't seen the guy before. Wow. 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 Listen, Ali is probably the MVP of TNA wrestling right now. But Chaz Hall, what a competitor he is. I mean, they were flying around. He was doing he had Ali on the top rope. He had grabbed his arm, he bounced off the top rope and done an arm drag off the top rope. They had this bit where Ali was holding him up like he was gonna like do a razor's edge off the top. And as he threw him up, Chaz landed and gave him a Hurricane Rana uh, off the top rope. It was unbelievable. It really, really was. I love this. I thought it was. I thought it was incredible. I'd love to see Chaz Hall in TNA full time. He was absolutely brilliant. My first time watching him work, I want to see more of him. I'm going to have to check him out. And I love the concept of the open challenge. The fact that they're bringing people in. You know that Ali's probably going to win the match. I mean, unless they're going to bring somebody in and that person is signed and we don't know. And then he beats Ali. That would be interesting to do that. Maybe even Ricky Sosa when he returns. That would be an interesting one. Need to check out the match. The slight criticism that I will give the match is that it was too short. I would love to have seen this gone longer. I think we've had a couple of long segments. I mean, the system could have been cut a bit shorter. Um, but look, it was just tremendous. I want to see it one more time. I want to see it more than one more time. I want it to be given longer. Now, out the back, Keith Jardine is taking selfies with a fan, and Santino comes up and he said he's a big fan as well, and that he's his guest for the evening. Now, Myra Sade comes up at this point, and she apologized for the interruption. She introduces herself to Keith Jardine as a fellow Duke City resident before referencing the Elegance brand confrontation last week. But Myra Say did ask for Keith Jardine to be in her corner for the Champions Challenge next week so she can take care of things in the ring while Keith Jardine can take care of Mr. Elegance. And of course, Keith Jardine agrees to that. So they're going to have the knockouts, will have Keith Jardine in their corner. Um, So interesting to see that. I'm really looking forward. I love these Champions Challenges matches that TNA do. I mean, they do them annually. Pretty sure they done one last year. If I'm on, I can't remember who was in them. I think Santana might have been in there actually. But anyway, really interesting. I do like them. I really like those Champion Challenges matches. Anyway, now you remember what I said about Maclin? And there was going to be a lot of focal points on him this week as he comes into face Santana. Well, if you remember, cast your mind back, I think 18 months or so ago, those skits that he was doing, those really great video packages with Eric Young. Well, lo and behold, obviously Eric Young does have a title shot because he won that opportunity, number one contenders battle royal. Well, Eric Young crossed paths with Maclin again this week, and Young was like, he offered a real opportunity, but he turned it down. He said Maclin got fired. He turned him into everything Young wanted him to be in the first place. And he said to Maclin that he found his way back and become the version of him that Young always saw. And now he's got a world title shot. And he's kind of blaming Mike Santana for trying to end Maclin's career with that thing last week. But look, and even Eric Young said at the end, if you whether you win or lose, you get to choose his fate. He says maybe Maclin faces Young after beating Santana. Maybe he disappears after losing, or maybe Eric Young makes Maclin disappear. Choices have consequences, and Maclin has to make the biggest choice of his career. Loved it. I love the skits. I think they've been great, and the fact that they've kind of come full circle with this was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Back to knockouts action. A lot of knockouts action this week on TNA. Really enjoyed that. Love the fact that there's a lot of knockouts action on this. Zaya Brookside, Jada Stone. Another interesting one, this, because Jada Stone, you can tell that TNA are high on her. Zaya Brookside has turned to the dark side with this. And I think it was the best knockouts match of the night, to be honest. And I do think TNA has big plans for Jada Stone. Having said that, and after all of that, Dia Brookside did win the match. I think it's called the modified DDT. I think they called it darker. She hit darker for the victory. But what I would say is that I believe that if anything now, with Zaya Brookside gone to the dark side, she needs a new theme because the one that she does, she just has this ominous walk about her now. I tell you what she reminds me of a little bit, and it's only a little bit. It's not a bit like when Julia Hart changed from the cheerleader to the House of Black. She's got that demeanor about her now. There's no curls in her hair. It's all straight. She's got an anonymous walk about her. The evil inside Zaya Brookside is brewing. And that's, it kind of made me think about Julia Hart in that instance. Zaya's a tremendous wrestler. Is the character now right? Maybe the character beforehand wasn't right. Is the character now right for her? We're going to see, but she does need to change the theme. That's what I would say. That is definitely what I would say. And but nevertheless, she did pick up the victory. That defeat won't hurt Myra Stone too much. It really, really won't. To be honest. So sorry, Jada Stone. Jesus, I'm getting confused with names now. It's early, folks. All right, it's early. Um, the loss won't hurt Jada one bit, and it just, if anything, we do need that Zaya Brookside Lei Ying Lee match. If you think about it, Zaya Brookside was the one that turned on the Ying Lee, costing the Knockouts Championship. Obviously, Ying Lee won it back. We do need a definitive with them too, so that needs to happen as well. So you could argue that Zaya Brookside is first in line, really, for that championship. You could argue, could have put an argument against this one. It was getting interesting now because Santana was on his way to the ring for the main event, and as he's walking to the ring, he's actually confronted by Steve Maclin, and he basically said he's going to put Santana in a hospital, and that Santana took away 6 weeks of his career, took food off his table, money out of his pocket, and security told you save your energy from the ring. Well, here we go, folks. It is main event time. Steve Maclin, Santana. Wow, what a match. What an, you remember obviously the match from last week, Leon and Slater and Cedric. You wondered if, this match was going to get to that high, and it absolutely did. These two beat the shit out of each other in this. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. The standard in that main event was awesome. It really, really was. You could see you could feel the animosity between those two. You could feel that they didn't like each other. You could feel Macklin was right when he was saying that, Santana took away 6 weeks of his career, and he was wrestling like that. He was wrestling like he really wanted to hurt Santana. It was fantastic. It really, really was. Um, Thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was, though, Spin the Block by Mike Santana that picks up the victory. And Santana is still the TNA champion for now. And he is the standard bearer of the company. There's no doubt about it. Macklin looked brilliant, though. But I wonder what's next for him, because obviously we had that anonymous message from Eric Young. Are we going to go into that next? Is Young going to cash in because he's got the opportunity to do that as well? Obviously, so is Eddie Edwards. So we've got a lot going on here, but I'm really intrigued to find out what's next for both champion and former challenger in Steve Macklin. And overall, though, this TNA had everything that you needed. It balanced the storytelling perfectly well with the in-ring action. And I was really sometimes during shows you find yourself slipping out a little bit when it's sort of maybe too action heavy, not enough story, vice versa. This was the perfect storm, so to speak. It's great to see Willow back for the Hardys. We know that's going to Wicked Garden. We're looking forward to that. Mustafa Ali and Chaz Hall was unreal as a match. I just wish it got longer, really, really, really did. And I think, to be honest, like um if that had got longer, it probably would have got match of the night. But you do have to give that match of the night to Macklin and Santana for the World Title Championship. You really, really do. And it was brilliant. It was fantastic. But everyone, check out TNA every week on AMC Plus, SportsCenter 360 in Canada. Over here in the UK, TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get subscribed. 9.99 a month will give you everything. But actually, just as a quick bit of breaking news, Daria Ray's contract is nearing expiry with TNA. That's interesting. Literally just flashed up on my screen. Wow, that's interesting. That is really, really interesting. June is her contract expiry. It's a couple of weeks away. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. Wow, that'll be for next week, guys, on TNA. But check out, we got Double or Nothing prediction show, preview show dropping. We've got NWA Spotlight with former TNA referee Scott Wheeler as well dropping tomorrow. Big review weekend. Saturday night's main event, Double or Nothing, all coming up. We're going to DKW again for their Beach Blast show on Sunday. You can check us out there if you are in Essex and you're coming down to Westcliff. We'll look forward to seeing you there. But until then, everybody, this has been Hidden Turnbuckle Podcast, and you guys need to cross the line, stay safe, and enjoy the long weekend, folks.